49 years behind bars, and now he's finally home. It was a packed house as hundreds, maybe even more than 1,000 people gathered to welcome home Leonard Peltier. KX News' Megan Topping takes us to what many called a once-in-a-lifetime event in Belcourt.
It was no ordinary day at the Skydancer Casino and Resort. The community of Belcourt, along with leaders, hosted a welcome home event and community feed to welcome Leonard Peltier home, a day after his release from a federal prison in Florida. Peltier is an enrolled member of the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa and will now live in the Belcourt area. Holly Cook-Macaro, who was on the flight home with Peltier, says he just couldn't believe it.
When we landed here in North Dakota, we kind of looked at each other and he said, I'm home. I said, you're really home. And so coming home for Leonard is, after all these years, the significance of holding this event in Belcourt and is because it's so close to his heart. These are his tribal homelands, and I think for all of Indian country, for Indigenous people, we know what it means to come home.
Peltier, a Native American activist, was convicted of killing 2 FBI agents. Former President Joe Biden commuted Peltier's life sentence to home confinement, leading to his release Tuesday from the Coleman Penitentiary. Peltier was convicted of 2 counts of first-degree murder and given 2 consecutive life sentences, stemming from a 1975 confrontation on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in South Dakota.
When I was no more guilty than my co-defendants, and so I spent 49 years. I didn't think I was going to make it. I'm 80 years old now. I'm proud of the positions I've taken to help fight for our rights, to survival.
Peltier says those 49 years in prison were grueling, unlike anything he's ever experienced before.
They sentenced me to a sensory deprivation cell. I don't know if you guys know what that is. This total darkness. Nothing in there but a blanket, and indefinitely. I was supposed to die there in that cell.
FBI agents Jack Kohler and Ronald Williams were killed during the confrontation on Pine Ridge. While Peltier admitted to being a part of the shootout, he denied being responsible for their deaths. Many Native Americans view him as a political prisoner, wrongly convicted for his activism in defending Indigenous rights as a member of the American Indian movement.
From the first hour I was arrested, Indian people came to my rescue from all over the country, especially the United States. 800 tribes that support. So that's a big, it makes me feel good, man. It just makes me feel good. It was worth it for me.
To put in perspective how long Peltier was away from his homeland, Jamie Azure, a Turtle Mountain chairman and Belcourt native, wasn't even alive yet when Peltier was imprisoned and grew up hearing Peltier's name as he described it, like a character in a book.
A lot of people didn't think this day was going to happen, and here we are. And it's almost like growing up with a person that was a character in a book, and now you get to shake hands with that person in real life. So it brings a whole new, I know I use the word surreal, it really is surreal.
Peltier himself was filled with emotions upon returning home and seeing everyone welcome him back to his homeland.
I'm so proud of the showing and support you've given me. I got a hard time keeping myself from crying.
Peltier spent the rest of the event enjoying food with his family and having conversations with everyone who showed up in support. In Belcourt, for KX News, I'm Megan Topping.
Peltier says he always kept Native American issues in the forefront of his activism. And he also thanked tribes across the nation for their decades of support. Tribal leaders gave Peltier an eagle feather, which supporters have carried from Washington, D.C. to all places across the country as they campaigned for his release.